All right, let's do it.
Yeah. All right.
All right. What's going on, y'all? My name is Joey Fontanez. I'm from New York City, Bronx to be exact. I lived in several boroughs, Brooklyn, Manhattan, the Lower East Side, Queens, all over New York City, but mainly from the Bronx. Man, where do I start? So, growing up in New York City was pretty tough. My mom was a single mother. My dad was, around, came through and always gave us money here and there. He was a good dad. I can't complain about it. You know what I mean? But growing with my mother, I was a mama's boy. Um, I was super duper close to my mom. We always went to church every Sunday, Wednesday, whenever she wanted to go to church. She always had people come through to the house and, always pray and just stay over and just literally worship God. I grew up a good kid. I want to say like 1996 or 7. My mother was talking to one of her ex-boyfriends, and I remember waking up and she was crying, and I was wondering why she was crying. So I went to the living room and sat with her on the couch, and just remember her calling her ex-boyfriend at the time, a dog in Spanish though, and just calling him dirty, like, pretty much like just bashing him, Never knew why. I remember her getting sick and going to the hospital several times, coming home, going back to the hospital for months. I'm not knowing what the hell is going on, so I started staying with different family members. I went with my aunt for like 4 months and went to Queens for like 4 months. Then I went back to the Bronx because she came back from the hospital. She went back to the hospital, lived in Brooklyn with that same aunt for 5-6 months. She came back home. Then I started staying with my father in the Bronx. And he had a wife and she had kids. And just being away from my mother, I didn't understand what was going on, but I remember changing, and I changed a little too much. I started growing up, and I started, misbehaving and doing a lot of stuff I shouldn't be doing as a kid. My father let me roam around, just like my mother used to let me roam around. We was in the ghetto, and it was whatever. We just played, and if we wanted to do something, we'll do it. Whether it was the right thing or the wrong thing, we just didn't care. My father's wife at the time, she didn't want her kids hanging out with me because she, for some reason, knew I was I was going to be a bad influence on her kids. Sure enough, I did. I was a bad influence. So they start hanging out with me, and we had a big crew. I think I was like 9, 10 years old, and we had a big crew. We were just hanging out and just up to no good, I remember when it was snow, we would like make up a whole bunch of snowballs and throw it at people, throw it at bus drivers, and flick them off. And like when they used to come at us, we had like a bag full of snowballs, and then people come running at us, and we'll just throw it at them and just take off. It was just crazy, man. We had a lot of fun doing crazy shit like that. But I remember my mom coming home one more time, and I think I was like 10, and I remember my mother talking to my uncle. She was in the church, and she was talking to my uncle on the phone, and my uncle said something. She started laughing, and she was just laughing the whole time. I remember her dropping the phone on the floor, and she's like on the couch. It was like a long couch, but she's like laying with her legs straight and just laughing. And I'm sitting on the single couch, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? So I'm asking her, I'm like, hey, what's going on? She's just laughing the whole time, and just laughing and laughing and laughing and just making faces. And I'm like, man, what the hell is going on with this lady? So I'm like, man, I don't know what the hell is going on. My uncle, I hang up the phone, my uncle calls back, and he's like, yo, what's up with your mom? And I'm like, nigga, you tell me, I didn't know what was going on. So he's like, what is she doing? And I'm like, bro, she's just laughing and making faces. I don't know if anybody believes in God, but come to find out, there was a demon inside her. She was demon possessed. It's crazy. So I'm thinking she's just messing with me. I'm thinking my uncle's messing with me. And I remember just like thinking to myself, like, man, maybe if I was to say like a bad word or something like that, she'll probably just like, snap out of it and whoop me, and then I'll just go to my room, call it a day. You know what I mean? But no. I was like, what the hell is going on with you? You're a witch, just like my dad says. Like, you're fucking acting crazy. And I'm like just fucking cursing left and right. And she's not budging. She's just literally laughing and making faces. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? So my dad calls. Or was it? Well, I would think it was my sister. My sister calls. Just a call, and I pick up the phone and I'm like, yo, I don't know what's up with mommy. Like, she's fucking tripping right now. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, yo, she's just like laughing and making faces. I don't know what the fuck is going on. I'm even cursing to try to get her to snap out of it, for her to whoop me and just send me to the room, for her to just stop this shit. But she's like, she's going on, and I'm just like, what the hell is going on here? So my sister's like, yo, I don't know what's going on. So let me call my dad. So she calls my dad. My dad calls me. And I tell him what's going on. Then he's like, oh, I'm working right now. That when I'm done with, my job, I'll, come by. And my sister calls the lady from downstairs, the second floor. We lived in the 5th floor, which was the last floor in the Bronx, on Fox Street. And she, the lady from the second floor had 2 boys. There were one was 2 and the other one was like 5 or something like that. She was dramatic as fuck. She came upstairs, and I opened the door for her, and my mom was like making faces, and she was like, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm crying at the time because I'm like, what the hell is going on? You know what I mean? The lady comes upstairs and she comes and looks at my mom, and her fucking crazy ass just starts screaming and crying. Then all of a sudden her kids start crying. Then I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And at this point, I'm just standing by the window. And I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? So this lady, we lived in 5D, this lady from 5G just so happened to be getting off work and coming, just getting upstairs from the elevator, and hears a whole bunch of screaming, and just so happened to be walking by, and sees the door wide open and sees everybody crying. And I'm just standing by the window, and I'm just like what's going on? So she comes in, she's like, what's happening? I was like, I don't even know what's going on. The lady starts screaming and the kids are screaming, crying, and she just goes up to my mom and says something to my mom, and all of a sudden, like, the lady just backs up and just starts walking back. She's literally about to fall through the table that we had and just runs out of the fucking apartment. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I remember my mom getting up slowly, and I moved to the side, and she walks towards the window, and I'm like, oh fuck, man, this woman's gonna throw us up out the window. She just passes out. As soon as the police comes and it's like knocking on the door, but the door was open, and she just passes out. For like, I'm gonna say 5 minutes, she gets up. She sits on the couch, everybody's checking her, ambulance is checking her. And they're like, what's going on? I remember her saying there was a demon inside of me. I'm like, oh shit, like, fuck is going on here? So everything was good. She went to the hospital, came back. My sister came, my dad came. We were good. I want to say like a few months later, we went to church in Brooklyn, and it was crazy because we were playing this game. I forgot what was it called. It's just pretty much like everybody's like moving. It's almost like musical chairs, but it's just everybody has to like dance, and then once the music stopped, everybody has to stop. Whoever moves is eliminated. My cousin and I were the last two, and I'm like, man, I can't believe I'm doing this, and I end up winning. And then my cousin ends up falling out and fucking going crazy. I'm like, oh man, here's my time to shine, and she freaking takes it from me, and she's going crazy on the floor. Everybody thinks she's joking, but she's actually on the floor with a demon inside of her too. So I'm like, holy shit, what's going on? I'm thinking she's still playing around, but when her skirt started going up and you could see everything, I'm like, oh shit, this is for real. So her shoes come off. She gets up. She storms out of the church. It's fucking cold as hell in New York at the time. And people just start running after her. And they just lost her. She was just out of there, man. And within like an hour and a half, she comes back. She's crying. She's like, I can't believe this just happened to me. Freaking demon was inside of me. It was so wild. So, everything was good. Everybody continued going to church. My sister and I didn't know why we were going to church all the time. We believe in God, but we were wondering why we go to church. Fast forward, I remember sleeping in my uncle's house because my mom went back to the hospital. So I was staying with my uncle in the Bronx as well, couple blocks away from where we were living at on Fox Street. My uncle was living in Southern Boulevard, another ghetto area, real crazy area actually. And I remember us sleeping, and in the middle of the night, a light will go on, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So my uncle would think, we were just fucking around, and he would come shut it off and whatever. The music, every time the light went on, the music would go on. So the music would be on, and he'll come to the room and be like, yo, you guys stop fucking around. I don't have time for this. We got to work tomorrow. But it wasn't us. We were sleeping. Come to find out, the house was haunted, but we didn't know, my cousin Letitia, and Angel, they were brother and sister. They came by to be with my Uncle Lefty, because there's visitation rights and stuff like that. So Letitia in the middle of the night was like sleepwalking in the house. So she woke everybody up, and my Uncle Lefty went to her and was like, Letitia, what the hell is going on? And she was just roaming around the apartment, whatever. So he went to go grab her, and I remember the light shutting off, and he's like grabbing her, and there's literally nobody on the other side, and my Uncle Lefty's playing tug of war with my cousin, and there's nobody grabbing my cousin on the other side. There's literally nobody on the other side. And I remember her, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? She's just like screaming my uncle's name in another voice, and we're like, holy shit. Finally, she, whatever was on the other side, let's go, and she falls on my Uncle Lefty. She's crying. We go to her room. Nobody went to sleep. We were all scared. Whatever, life went on. I remember my Uncle Lefty taking us everywhere to play sports, hockey, basketball. It didn't matter. Football, baseball was his main sport. My uncles and my dad almost made it to the Yankees back in the day, but they always say it was like racism, the reason why they didn't make it, But we were all playing sports. One day we went to go play hockey in the summertime, and I remember my Uncle Lefty left something in the apartment, so he sent me and my cousin Poochie to go get whatever he was missing. We went upstairs. I remember my uncle locking the door, and all of a sudden we go upstairs and the door is fucking wide open, and we're like, holy shit. So we close the door, we run back downstairs, and we tell my Uncle Lefty. We come back upstairs, and he's just like, the door's locked. Like, I fucking locked the door. Like, what, you guys fucking with me or what? We're like, no, bro, it was wide open. We closed it. You know what I mean? We didn't even lock it. So, it was just so wild, man. You know, we ended up staying. And my Uncle Lefty checked the apartment. You know, checked the windows. The windows were locked. It was so crazy. Later on, we ended up playing hockey and stuff like that. Everything was good. My mom came back home, I think, or no, she stayed in the hospital. I ended up living with my dad, my grandmother, and my aunt. Yeah, and I was good. You know, I was comfortable there. You know, then for some reason, my mom, when she was in the hospital, she was like, "Hey, you know, I want you to stay with your dad," and they sent me to my dad's house. So I stayed at my dad's house for I think a year until I was like 11. And then he ended up taking me to see my mother one last time. And when I saw my mother, she was like really, really skinny. And my mom was 6'2", 6'1", I think. She was a real thick woman. She was tough as fucking nails. I remember when I was like 6, I can't believe I remember this, but I remember her fighting this lady because of she was like, you know, trying to kick it to my dad, and my dad ended up telling my mom, and then my mom beat the crap out of this woman so much that I remember her face was so red, just filled with blood, you know, and I'm just like, what the fuck is going on? I'm crying, her daughter's crying, and then we go up, you know, to my mom's best friend's Janet's house, and my mom's just sitting with a bucket of water on her feet, and just telling a story, just telling how she beat the lady up. It was crazy. Anyway, fast forward. So my mom was in the hospital. I remember looking at her and just amazed, like how skinny she was, and she was just delusional. She was just losing it. The guy that she was cursing out on I think 97 was her ex-man. His name was Ronnie, and he had to give my mom HIV. He gave her AIDS, and you know, my mom was dying. You know, she couldn't treat it. You know, doctors try to do the best they could, but you know, we didn't have money like that, so you know, we were just waiting for the days. I didn't know she had HIV. But I remember that one last time being with my mom, and I remember just looking at her and just enjoying my time with her. I remember the doctors telling me, if she kisses you, go, you know, wipe your face down, you know. And I'm just like wondering why. I'm like, man, what the fuck are they talking about? This is my mom here, you know. And yeah, that was the last time I saw her. And my dad took care of me from there. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment in the Bronx, in Tinton Avenue. And it was myself, my older sister Sheila, and my dad's wife and her 3 kids and my little sister. So it was, I think, like 7 of us, or something like that. In a 2-bedroom apartment, my sister ended up leaving, going to my grandmother's. She was 17, and you know, she started, you know, trying to find herself. I didn't get to see her much. I would see her here and there whenever she popped up, you know. So we ended up moving to Florida, 1999, I believe. And I remember being out here for like, I want to say 2 weeks, maybe 3, maybe a month. And I remember being in school and beating some kid up, getting suspended, because he called my mom a nugget. I don't even know who the hell was this kid, and I don't know what was his deal, but, I was a new kid, and I guess back in the day when you was new, like, everybody fucked with you. But I ended up beating the kid up and then getting suspended for like 2 weeks. I get home, I'm like, man, my father's gonna whoop my ass. You know what I mean? Because I'm always getting in trouble. And if fucking guy gave me a football, treating me like a king, and I'm like, man, what the hell's going on? Is it my birthday or something? Later on that night, he ended up breaking the news to me, telling me my mom passed away, and I didn't know how to react. I was just lost. I was lost, man. I still to this day, I'm just still like numb to the whole thing. Then my sister ended up moving to Florida. I ended up going to New York. We ended up going to the funeral. We didn't get along with my mother's mother, and for some reason, my mom and my dad they raised us not to be fake. So my father's side of the family was telling me, "Oh, go say what's up to your grandmother," and I'm just like, nah. They're like, man, just go over there, And she didn't give a shit about us, So, I just went over there mad as hell, and I try to hug her and I tell her, hey, what's up, and she just started screaming while she's looking at my mom's. She's sitting with my mom on in her casket. And she just started screaming. Everybody goes crazy. I'm like, holy shit, what the hell is wrong with this woman now? So we go to the funeral. I come back to Florida, and I was like, man, I can't do this here, man. But I'm 12 years old. I can't call no shots. I'm freaking young. I end up going back to New York, and I live with my grandmother and my aunt. And, I'm doing pretty good, going to school. And I remember this guy that lived in my mom's building when we lived in Fox Street, and his name was Caggy. He always had this freaking pit bull, a whole bunch of pit bulls. And I remember seeing him one time. It's crazy how I saw him too. It's so wild. Him and his wife at the time, they used to always fight. And I saw him going in the car and opening the door and like shoving his wife in the car. And I remember him choking his wife. Like, he was like literally he started in the driver's seat and ended up in the passenger seat. He's just choking this lady out. And I was like, holy shit, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? You know what I'm saying? He gets out the car, goes to the store. So I go to the store, and I'm like, hey, Caggy, what's up, bro? He was like, hey, what's up, shorty? He called me Shorty. He's like, what's up, Shorty? So I start talking to him. He's like, where you living at now? I'm like, oh, I'm living, in Bronx Park East with my grandmother and my aunt. He's like, damn, I live right around the corner. I live in Pelham Parkway. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's what's up, So I get his info. He writes his number down. He's like, yo, holla at me, man. I'm sorry about your mom. I heard about what happened. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. So I call him up. I go kick it with him in the projects. And I remember him telling me, yo, shorty, you wanna make some money? And I'm like, hell yeah, I wanna make some money, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I didn't know what he meant by me making money, but I remember him giving me a couple packs of cigarettes, and he's like telling me to sell cigarettes to people. Like, I don't know how much cigarettes were back then. It might have been like $7, $8, but he had me selling them for $5. So I was making money with that. I was 12, about 13, I think. And I remember one day him coming up to me. He's like, yo, shorty, here, give this to this dude over here in the courtyard. He's sitting on a bench. So I look at it, and it's my first time ever seeing marijuana. I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, yo, what's this? And I remember him telling me, yo, don't worry about it. Don't worry, just give it to him. And I go over, I give it to him. I come back, and, we go to the store. He buys me a couple things, and then I'm talking to him like, yo, we get back in the car, and I'm like, yo, what's this, homie? And he's like, oh, it's marijuana, you know. And I'm like, what does it do? And he's like, it gets you lifted. So I'm just saying, like, what the fuck is he talking about? Get you lifted. So, you know, then, you know, every once in a while he'll give me a couple packs, and he's like, yo, sell this, you know. So I started selling like nickel bags, dime bags, you know, start making some real money. He still had me selling cigarettes, you know. At that point I was like, man, I don't even want to sell cigarettes no more, you know. I want to sell some weed, man, you know. So I want to say when I was like 14, you know, I see him, you know, selling crack now. So I'm like, yo, what's up? I want to sell some of that. Yeah, I see you making, you know, hella money with that. You know, can I sell that too? He's like, nah, stick to the weed. So I, you know, continue selling weed. I met this guy named Dave. He was my cousin Gilly's best friend, and I put Dave on. I was getting so much money, and I put Dave on, and Dave started selling weed. And I'm bringing so much money to Caggy, and he's just like, man, you bringing me so much money, man. Like, fuck, I might just, you know, not, you know, I might just take you off of just selling weed and, you know, start selling something else. So I started selling crack. And I remember my first week, I want to say, I think I started on Tuesday. On a Thursday or Friday, I'm in the projects, and I get robbed by a crackhead. But this crackhead was so freaking big. Caggy goes over there when I tell him, and he beats the dude up with his friends. And I mean, that was the last time I saw this dude. I don't know if he got killed or what, you know what I mean? But I know that I never seen the dude again. Continue selling crack. Now I'm like heavy in the streets, but nobody knows. Like, you know, I'm just kicking it with the OGs, kicking it with the older guys, and you know, just doing my thing, just hanging out. You know, none of the young kids my age knew what I was doing. So eventually, Caggy gets locked up. I'm like, fuck, you know. Somebody took over, but he didn't even want me to do nothing. So I, you know, with a little bit of money I had, I wasn't even saving money. I was spending money left and right. Little bit of money I had, I, you know, try to buy something, you know, but to no avail, you know what I mean? Like I didn't know what I was doing, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I knew what I was doing, but like, you know, I was just like, whatever. I ended up spending all the money, and then, you know, just not selling drugs anymore and getting into sports. When I was 15 in high school, I was real good in basketball, and I remember playing so good that I had scouts looking at me, and they wanted me to, you know, play for their team and do AAU games, and I was really good, man. I was really fucking good. I was skinny as hell, but I was super good. Had a lot of heart. I was extremely good, man. And I would box, and it was one or the other. It was boxing or basketball. I love basketball so much. And we're going to Syracuse one time, and playing against Carmelo Anthony, and that dude was just so amazing. I think he was going into college, and that dude was just super good. You know what I mean? So what happened? So kept playing basketball. Started getting better in boxing. Got better at boxing. And I remember my dad getting frustrated with me because I wasn't focused so much on boxing. And I started getting into hanging out with a lot of females. And my dad would always tell me, he was like, hey, man, you know, if you're going to have sex, strap up, you know, and wear a condom. But I think you should stay focused on boxing. So, you know, I would try to listen to my dad, but, you know, I always love hanging out with females. I grew up with a household full of females when I was younger, so I was always comfortable with females. So I always hung out with females. And I remember one time I was walking with this girl. I forgot her name. I think her name was Jessica. And I think she was 16. I was 16. And she had a boyfriend. And he was like a real jealous dude. And he ended up like, he was a part of the Bloods. And I remember him surrounding me and telling me, hey, yo, I need you to stop hanging out with her. The next time I tell you this, I'm going to fuck you up. So I knew how to box. I was like, man, you can't fuck me up. He was skinny, but he was just like, a little heavier. I wasn't scared. I was like, whatever, you can't fuck me up. But around, his people, I was a little scared because I'm like, damn, I didn't want to get jumped. So I remember the next day, she wanted to walk, home from school, and she was like, hey, come on. I'm like, nah, I'm good. And she was like, what's up? And she like told her, I told her what happened, and she went back. I went with her, and she told the dude off, and I guess they broken up, and he was just like, not taking no for an answer. He wanted to be with her still. So I remember him and his crew, they just started chasing me, and I just ran home. And I was like, fuck, man, they're going to beat the shit out of me. I ended up running home, getting home and stuff like that. So I ended up moving with my uncle. And my uncle was, cool as hell. He was the youngest uncle. He lived in Cypress Projects, Millbrook Projects, and on Cypress in the Bronx. Just to, get me to switch schools and stuff like that. And I'm going to South Bronx High. And crazy, the girl ends up transferring a month later to South Bronx High. So we start walking again, and who shows up? This fucking guy with his crew, and they start chasing me again. So I'm running and running, and one of them caught me, and I end up like throwing a combination. He backed up, and then the guy came on me, started hitting me and stuff like that. At this point, I was tired as hell because I was running. I tried to fight back, but it was just like, he just fucked me up, and that was that. So at that point, I was like, this guy's a fucking grown ass 16, and he was like 20. I'm like, this guy's a grown ass man, and he hits like a bitch. So in my head, I'm like, I could take this fucking dude, and I could fuck him up. So the next day, go to school, and I end up walking with the girl, nervous because I'm like, man, he's with his crew. I'm confident that I could beat him up, but I'm like, can I, beat him up without his crew jumping me? But he ends up pulling up, and while I'm walking with the girl, and she's like trying to stop it. I'm like, yo, chill, fuck it. You want to fight? I'll fight you. Beat the shit out of the dude. And then his crew tried to, jump me, and, I ended up running out, running away and stuff like that. The next day, same thing. I ended up beating him up. I beat this dude up for like 2 weeks straight. And he was a grown man. He couldn't do nothing with me. So I guess somebody from his crew respected the fact that I kept beating the guy up and stuff like that. So, finally talked to the dude and told the dude, yo, you can't beat the little youngin' up, just leave him alone. The girl don't want to be with you, just leave him alone. You got these other girls here chasing you. So he ended up going to messing with some other girl. I ended up hooking up with the girl, but, it never worked out. Yeah, it was that was crazy. I ended up continue playing sports and just not being focused, just acting like a knucklehead, just with different girls all the time, trying to be a player. I mean, it was crazy. I was definitely a ladies' man. Then when I was getting close to graduating, I ended up getting expelled, coming to Florida, and going to school out here. And I got expelled out here. I did, I think, 4 months. I I went through, and then once we came back from the New Year. I get expelled for punching the teacher in his face. I had a radio or something like that, and I remember, like, everybody called me Old School Joe because I always played the old school jams, and I would always walk around with the radio. This is, I want to say, like 2003, I believe, and or 2000, 2003, and just walking around. I remember the teacher grabbed me. Well, I was actually sitting down on one of the lunch tables and stuff like that, but we was outside, and he like taps me on my shoulder. He grabs the radio, and I look back, and it's the teacher. I'm like, oh fuck. He's like, I'm taking your radio. I was like, yeah, it's okay. I get in the end of the day. Hey, oh, you want to be a wise guy? He's like, come with me. So he like this. Let's say this is the table. He like walks this way, and I walk the other way. But I'm going to the office, and he thinks that I'm running away. So he grabs me by the jacket, and I like pushed him, and then he chokes me, and then I just punched him. He drops down on one knee. I punch him again, and he's down on both knees, and I'm about to punch him. I see the dean coming, the cop that was in the school, the sheriff, whatever, and he's chasing me, but I end up running away, and then getting locked up. And my dad was so mad at me. He put me in a private school, and I ended up graduating. And the scholarships I had was in New York, but they would still follow me. They still followed me, and they wanted me to play basketball. They wanted me to go to El Paso, Texas, and Alabama to play basketball. My dad was like, yo, I want you to box. You're fucking way better in boxing. And I'm like, fuck, man, I don't want to box. I want to play basketball. Forces me to box. End up boxing. Then I moved back to New York and end up boxing out there. I'm doing super good. I played in basketball tournaments in New York. I was doing extremely well out there. And Syracuse ends up telling me to come, practice with them. So Carmelo Anthony's there. This is kind of like right before he's about to go in the league. So we get to play. I'm balling. I'm doing my thing. But these guys are fucking huge in college. I was so skinny. I wasn't into working out, unless I was boxing and stuff like that, just doing the boxing drills, but no weightlifting. These guys were huge. I would ball, but they'll fucking just shove me, and, I go flying because I was so skinny. So they wanted me to play for the team in Syracuse, and I was gonna start. They was gonna redshirt me because they wanted me to gain weight, and they wanted me to know the plays. So I was like, I'm cool with it. My dad was like, nope, you're gonna box. End up boxing. I want to say when I was 19, I get into some trouble, and this guy shooting at me because I was like hanging out with his girlfriend, was fucking his girlfriend, and his ex-girlfriend. And we get in a fight one time at a store because he comes at me, he grabs me, and I punch him and knock him out. Then I come to the store again, we get in a big fight, and then I see guns coming out, and I just take off running, and they're just shooting at me. So I didn't want to fuck with the girl no more, and I ended up breaking up with the girl and stuff like that. So I remember one time going home, and I'm like, I don't know why I feel somebody's following me, so I turn around and I see somebody like hiding in between the cars, and I'm like, the fuck? I'm like, nah, that's nothing. I'm walking, and I look back again, and I see it again. So I'm like, oh, it's just, I hit a corner, I take off running. And then when I get to the next corner, I'm just looking to see if, somebody's following me, and sure enough, this fucking guy is following me. And I'm like, oh shit. So I take off, and then I hide behind a car, and I see him looking around and stuff like that. So I ended up going home. Whatever. He didn't catch me, but I told my boys, and my boys came all the way from the Bronx to Brooklyn, and they shot the dude up. He didn't die, but they shot him up. It was crazy. I ended up going to the Bronx and stuff like that. I want to say 2000 and I graduated 2004, 2005. I ended up getting locked up, and it was because of the shooting. And they wanted me to rat on my boys and stuff like that. I was like, man, I'm not doing that. I guess the gun that they found was dirty, and they pinned it on me, and they were just trying to scare me. And back then in New York, I guess the gun charges wasn't as bad, you know what I mean? So they'll give you a slap on the wrist, 3-4 years, whatever, It's not how it is now. Now you get caught with a gun, you're gonna do some years, but depending if you got a good lawyer. But I remember them scaring me and telling me, oh, you're gonna lock you up for 10 years, and I was like, whatever, I'm not telling. So I ended up doing 2 years in New York, but I was in Rikers Island, fucking crazy ass jail, going through it left and right with everybody, because I was young as hell. I was only 19 at the time, and going through it with so many fucking people. And they end up sending me, to Auburn prison, and go out there, and my first day, I'm walking, and the officer is just screaming people's last name and pointing at the cell. So while we're walking, he's like, Diaz, Ramos, Ramirez, Johnson, and then he screams my name, so I go in my cell. Man, literally 10-15 seconds later, this is fucking big fucking black dude. This guy had to been 6'6", 300 pounds, fucking pure muscle. I'm skinny as hell. I'm 150, 60 pounds. And this fucking guy tells me, you're gonna be my bitch. And I'm like, the fuck I ain't, bro. Fuck you. And he's like, I want to fuck you. So we're in a 2-man cell. He's fucking walking on me like the fucking Hulk. And my homeboy that I knew from the streets, fucking maybe 5 foot, it was the leader of the Latin Kings. He ends up telling the guy to get the fuck out the room, and the guy was fucking mad. His name was Black. He was fucking mad. And he apparently everybody that comes in, he just rapes them. I'm glad I didn't get raped, because that motherfucker would go on a raping rampage. So my boy end up looking out, and I was with their crew. I wasn't part of no gang. I thought that's just for pussies, you know what I'm saying? But I would hang out with all the Latin people, Latinos. When you go to prison, everything's so segregated. You got the Spanish with the Spanish, the blacks with the blacks, the whites with the whites, whoever, been part of that life, you know the deal. So, I just stayed with my Latinos, and shit was cool, I ended up being cool with the fucking guy, Black. And fucking guy was a lunatic, funny as hell. And I remember one time asking him, yo, Black, if there was a mind you, he already done 24 years, and he had a life sentence. But one day I was just talking to him. I was like, yo, Black, bro, if they was to ever let you loose, would you ever go back to women? And he was like, hell no, man. I'll go raping people outside. Outside, I want man ass. And I was just like, what the fuck? And we were just laughing. We were like, bro, you gonna be around women? He was like, nah, man, I want man ass. Funny ass fucking shit, man. We were like, yo, this guy's a fucking nut. Make a long story short, I remember one time this guy came in, and he raped some kids, and the officer told us, and told Black, and Black and his crew fucking went in that cell, and they took turns on that fucking guy. It's fucking crazy. I remember that fucking dude screaming from the top of his lungs, and yeah, for I want to say 3 days straight. The guy didn't come out of his cell for 2 weeks. And I remember one time we was in the chow hall and the guy finally comes out. And when he comes out, Black is eating and the guy is just walking and Black's looking at him, you know, and then just, you know, kept eating his food. And the guy just went crazy and just started stabbing him in the neck like a fucking movie. This guy literally stops the dude, beats the dude up, takes the knife or whatever the fuck he had, and just stabs the dude to death. I remember fucking looking at this shit. I'm like, what the fuck? And just looking at Black after he's stabbing the dude with fucking blood coming out like a fucking, like a lunatic, and screaming, ah! And fucking police got him. It's the last time I saw that crazy motherfucker. Then it was transferring me to Green. And I did the rest of my time there. It was sweet, you know. Got in a couple fights, but it was nothing. Got out. Hooked up with some of my boys and stuff like that. You know, had a good time. You know, smashed a couple females, and then got into selling drugs again. Started selling weed, started selling crack and everything. Had it successful. I didn't care about having a name for myself. I was real low key when I was doing it, and I want to say like 5-6 months of me being out, I remember going into a bar called La Pelota in the Bronx on East Tremont. It's probably not there anymore, but it was a cool spot. And I remember dancing with this girl. Always got an issue dancing with fucking females. And I remember getting hit with a bottle in my head. Lucky the bottle didn't even break. It's fucking crazy. And I ended up fighting, or my crew and the guys' crew ended up fighting. Come to find out, I was dancing with the guy's girl. She was just drunk, and we were dancing, and she liked the way I danced, and we were kissing. He saw it, and fucking hit me in the head with a bottle when we went to go dance again. Whole shit ended up fucking breaking loose, and it was crazy. They end up getting out of the club. The bouncers are holding us. One of my buddies used to sell guns. I think his name was Eddie. Yeah. No, George. His name was Georgie. We call him Georgie. So he sold guns, and he left while we were fighting to get the car, just in case these fucking guys left to get their cars. Sure enough, like one of their guys in their crew ran out to go get the car, and by the time they came out, you know, they all ran in the cars and, you know, all that. But Georgie fucking did the same thing. So by the time we got out, Georgie was like, "Get in!" So we get in the fucking car. And he's telling everybody, he's like, "Oh, take these guns." Everybody's like, you know, just loading up. We following these fucking guys, but they don't know. They go into an alley, and we you know, we're just posted watching them. They're fucking drinking. They're fucking making, you know, they're talking about the fight, you know, and then some girls pull up. They're chilling with the guys. They're drinking. So my boy Nelson's like, "Let's go. Let's get it popping." We end up going, and we're walking like through the alley and stuff like that, but they don't see us because everything's dark. And it was like, "Yo, let's let loose." And we start letting loose, and we start shooting. They fucking scatter out. The guy that hit me in the head with the bottle falls down, and a girl falls down. She wasn't even there, and I don't know who hit her, but the girl got shot in the leg, and the guy that hit me in the head in the head with a bottle got shot in the head. They go to the hospital. The fucking guy lives. The girl is straight, whatever. So they lived in Valentine. We lived in Cypress, and we were just having gunfights back and forth. They would come to our projects. They shoot us up. We'll go to theirs. We'll shoot theirs up. Innocent people got shot. I got tired of it. I met this girl at a party one time after the Puerto Rican Day Parade, and she was like, "I'm going to Florida," and I was like, "Hey, you mind if I come with you?" She was like, "Yeah, you can stay with me." So we ended up coming to Florida in St. Pete. Her name was Ebony Johnson. And I ended up staying with her mom. It was hanging out. Fucking it was amazing. You know, we stayed for like 2-3 weeks. And I was like, yo, let's just stay out here. I was like, I don't even want to go back. And she was like, you for real? And I'm like, yeah, let's just stay out here, you know? So she's like, okay. She ended up going back to New York to go get the stuff, you know, our belongings. We didn't have much stuff. I didn't have much stuff, you know, and I had money from selling drugs and stuff like that. So she brings the stuff back, but, you know, when we're hanging out, she's like, I have some good news. And I'm like, what's up? She's like, I got an audition to be a New York Knicks dancer. So I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, yeah, dope. Do it. She's like, no, I don't want to leave you. I'm like, man, do that shit. So she goes back. They picked 22 girls. She was literally the last one. She gets, you know, to be a New York Knicks dancer. So I'm like happy for her. I'm like, you know, dope, do your thing, you know. She ends up leaving me for little Nate Robinson, the basketball player that got knocked out by Jake Paul. And, you know, I was like, fuck it. I was staying at her mom still. So she told me, and, you know, my dad was living in Florida. So he was living in Tampa. So I just gathered my belongings and, you know, went to my dad's house in Tampa with his wife and the kids and stuff like that. So I'm living there, you know, and I'm just like, what the fuck to do, you know? I had a little bit of money left, but I was running out. I didn't want to work. So I get a job with my uncle Carlos, crazy fuck. And I ended up working at a job. I didn't want to work there. Then I end up getting fired and working with literally that same day I get fired, I go start working with my uncle Lefty, cleaning carpets. And, you know, everything was going great. I was working hard. I met these guys, and they were all from the USF area. You know, they went to college in USF. I remember them telling me all the time, like, yo, you need to come party with us. Every time we go to work, you're always fucking getting girls, man. If you come to a party in USF, you'll fucking love it. You know, it'll be like paradise to you. There's so many fine girls. So I'm like, yeah, whatever. I don't give a fuck, you know. And I remember I told them, I was like, man, you want a party? Come to this party. There's this guy named Buckwheat from 94.1. Back in the day, it was 98.7, but it's 94.1 now. It's a radio station. We used to go to his house. His homeboy used to sell weed. And, you know, I used to go cop some weed from him and stuff like that. I ended up going over there to his party. He had a big fucking party. It was amazing. And there was so many girls. And we just fucking hung out, you know. And they were like, man, listen, you showed us how you party, man. You know, let's party. So we always go to Ybor City, and they would always try to tell me, come and fucking USF. So I ended up going one day. I never went back home. I had my place, and I would just like go to work. And if I was like, you know, I worked like around the corner from my crib, so I would just go home, pick up some clothes. What else? So I end up like hanging out with my boy Ruben, and he's like, "Hey man, listen, my boy Warren, our homeboy Warren, he's fresh from Jamaica, was staying with Ruben, and there was this fucking gay guy that he was never home. He used to go out of town. He was staying with like his partner or whatever, and Warren was staying in his room. You know, whenever the guy would come back, you know, Warren would just be in the couch, and you know, he was straight. He had everything in like Ruben's room or like in the living room. He didn't have much stuff, but or he had stuff in his car. So, but the guy was never home, so Warren would just stay there. So Ruben was like, "Hey man, listen, I got an extra room if you want to stay there. You know, like until you know." They let somebody in because he was staying in apartments where like they just like, you know, would put people in rooms and you just be roommates. It's like being on campus, whatever. So we was hanging out for a while, and dude, I was like living the fucking dream. I would go to these pool parties and just fucking get girls and bang them and go crazy. And yo, it was just, they were like, you go to USF? I was like, yes. I was there for 5-6 months. Mind you, I had my own place. And finally, they end up, getting the rooms, they're getting the people to stay in the rooms and stuff like that. So I had to leave. And I remember when I left, I had 3 big ass fucking garbage bags full of clothes and all my belongings, and I just went back home. Worked at the carpet company for like I think a year and a half, and they suspended me. I was selling weed here and there, just to make a little money. And I remember doing a job, and they fucking suspended me. I remember doing the job, and I guess the one of the equipments that we were supposed to use wasn't working, and the guy that I was working with was trying to fix it. He couldn't fix it, so he was like, "Yo, just try it with this." And I was like, "All right." And because I did the job, the guy was like, "I'll put everything back. Just chill, relax." You know what I mean? So he put everything back. I get back to the shop. They're like, "Hey, you want to work with your uncle and this other guy?" I'm like, "Yeah, hell yeah, just take the truck." So we don't even end up using nothing from the truck that I was driving, and I'm using everything in my uncle's truck. We didn't even need nothing. So this guy doesn't tie one of the machine that I was using. He doesn't tie it up, and I guess when I was driving, it broke. And we finished the job with my uncle and stuff like that, and we get back. 2 days later, they called me. I had like a day off because I was working like 10 days straight. They gave me 2 days off, and they called me to the office. I think the next day or 2 days later, and the owner was a prick, man, fucking Rick, white dude, a fucking prick. He was he calls me. He's like, "Hey, come to the truck," and I'm like, "All right," and he's like, "What do you see here that's wrong?" And I'm just like, "I don't know." Like, he's like, "Come on, you don't see nothing?" And I was like, "Bro, Rick, I'm not a mind reader, bro. Just tell me what the fuck is going on." So he tells me, fucking guys, I didn't want to like rat on the dude, but I was like, call the guy Sean, and Sean came and he told him, and he's like, "You snitched on me?" I was like, "No, bro. Like this, I'm having you tell him because I didn't want to snitch on you." So the guy ended up, owning up, and the guy fucking Rick suspends him for 2 days and suspends me for 2 weeks. So I remember my uncle showing me, we had 6 vans with all the equipment in it, and my uncle shows me how to use the gas cards in each van. So he's like, "Hey, listen, just use this card, and every once in a while, if you want to fill up your shit, fill it up." I'm okay. I filled it up all the time. You know what I mean? So when he suspended me, I called unemployment, and ended up getting paid through unemployment. And he found out, and he was like, "Hey, you can't do that." I was like, "Well, I just did, and I was getting paid from unemployment." So he put me to work. Like 3-4 hours, just put me back on suspension. I'll call unemployment again, same shit would happen. So I'm like, you know what? You want to play that game? I got you. End up going, and at like 1 a.m, I had the keys to the shop. I would go to the shop, go inside, and fucking get the keys to the van, and taking the like 2 gas cards, and going to gas stations and fucking asking people, "Hey, you want to fill up your tank?" I want to say this was like 2006 or 7 or something like that. I think it was like, no, it's like 2008. I'll take that back. Because I got out of prison 2007. Yeah. So this is like 2009, right? 2009. So I would just go to people's cars and just tell them, "Hey, you want to fill up your tank?" I would just give me $30, I'll fill it up. This is recession time, I believe. This is when we were going through a recession. And I fill up their tanks. Some people, see me doing, their car, and they'll be like, hey, what are you doing? I'm like, you want to fill up your tank? Give me $30 to fill up your tank. Man, I made so much money with selling weed and fucking, selling gas. I want to say when the Super Bowl was out here for, I think, the Steelers and the Cardinals, I think it was, there were so many people, out here, and I would just go to random people. I made so much money. I think with that weekend, I made like $5,000. But I mean, who knows, like, what the fuck happened with their company? I know their company ended up going out of business because of that. But I made like $5,000. I don't know if it was like with like the gas only because I was selling so much weed, but I remember making $5,000 that weekend, and just kept it going, whatever. My uncle gives me a call, and he's like, hey, listen, the cops are here, and, they're doing an investigation. Somebody's taking the gas cards, and they're fucking, they're putting us out of business. I'm just asking, have you been passing by here? You see anything weird? I was like, nah, man, like, I'm, and at that point I was already fired. Like, I quit or they fired me. I don't even give a shit. But like, I was doing so good, but I was still going to the shop and taking the gas cards in the middle of the night and fucking, once my uncle told me that, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I ended up throwing the key away, whatever. That was the end of that. I kept selling weed. Became a big time weed dealer in Tampa. I remember my boy calling me the Nickelback King. And I would just fucking buy so many pounds and just sell nickel bags for, I want to say, like 2 years or a year or something like that. 2 years. And then, then I started buying more, and then I started, selling so much fucking drugs. It's not even funny. Well, weed. And then I got into selling cocaine. Then I got into selling steroids. And I was fucking just loaded with money. Just splurging. Just, man. I just did it just to do it. You know what I mean? And I had a name for myself. And I enjoy the power that I had. I enjoy having so much money. I enjoy spending money on expensive clothes. I enjoy going out to eat with whoever I wanted to go out to eat with. And I was just living the fucking dream, I had this girl living with me. She was one of my good friends. We're good friends again, but like not so close how we used to be. And I remember her staying with me, and she puts a stripper pole in the living room. And this is like, I think 2010. And puts a stripper pole in the living room, and one day I come home and I hear so much shit, so I had a gun at the time. I pull out my gun, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? But then I hear female, so then I was like, all right, let me put my fucking gun back. And there's so many women in the fucking living room, and they're on this stripper pole. I remember her telling me that she was gonna put the stripper pole up, but I didn't give a fuck. I was just like, making so much money. I could care less. So, yeah, and we fucking had so many fucking orgies, it's not even funny. It was just having sex everywhere in that damn house. It's a 2-story house. It was so crazy. It was wild. It was wild. I felt like fucking Hugh Hefner just having sex with everybody. And it was amazing. I remember moving not too far away. I got a condo, and she moved in with me. I had a buddy of mine was going through it. He asked me if he could move in. I said, yeah, come on. So we had a big fucking spot. Was hanging out. We couldn't put the strip pole up because I guess the ceiling that we had it wouldn't allow it to stay up. It kept falling. So it was like fucking. I had a bar, and we lived like. Literally not too far, like walking distance to a strip club called Crazy Horse, and it was amazing. And all the strippers would come to my house, literally, to cop some weed and just chill at the house. When they were done at 4 a.m, and we'll just have sex. And I loved it. I was living the dream. And one girl came by. She wasn't even a stripper. She was just like a friend of my friend. And I guess they hooked up, and my friend caught feelings for the girl. And she just told me one time that the girl, I thought the girl was hot as fuck. And she told me that the girl, you know, thought I was cute. So she told me that. It's like a fucking light switch went off. And I'm just like, okay. So I get the girl, and my friend doesn't like it. So I don't know why. She's just started stealing from me, started stealing weed from me, money. And then started bringing guys to the house. I remember a long time ago, before, you know, she moved with me, I remember her telling me that some guy was talking shit to her, and she was staying at his house, and he was like gone, you know, doing his thing. And she ended up calling her cousin. Her cousin came, and they ended up robbing the guy. Fast forward, when she was staying with me in the other apartment, she told me something about her cousin, and then we went over and we took everything in her cousin's crib. Her cousin never found out, you know. And fast forward now. So she's bringing guys to the house, and I was just feeling uncomfortable because I had nice shit in my house. So all these guys would come in, they would just be looking around, and I'm like, yo, like, the fuck you looking at, you know? And he's like, oh, you got a nice house. I was like, well, don't look. So, you know, we were about to get into it, and I told her, I was like, hey, listen, I don't mind you bringing females to the crib, but you're bringing fucking guys to the crib, and they're looking around my crib. That doesn't make me comfortable. You know what I mean? So you're going to have to stop bringing guys. And she's like, well, I pay rent here too. I was like, yeah, but it's my house. So at that point, I was like, yeah, she got to go. So I told her that was on a Sunday we talked, and I was like, hey, you got to go, you know? So go back to your mom's house, do something. You can't be here no more. I'm not comfortable here no more. So her brother just got out of prison, and when he got out, this is when we were living at the other apartment. I showed him a good time. Went to Miami for Memorial Weekend. That shit was fucking crazy. We hung out. I gave him like $200, and you know, we hung out for like a week, and man, it was so wild. We ended up coming back. I ended up getting locked up. It was crazy. But anyway, her brother, I guess, like told her, hey, let's fucking rob this guy. So on a Thursday, I asked her, hey, you know, when you're leaving? And she's like, oh, you know, I'm gonna leave Saturday. I was like, all right. So, you know, that was like my, you know, one of my busy days. The weekends was always busy. So she ends up trying to rob me. For some reason, I don't know what it was, but I just wanted to stay home. She thought I wasn't gonna be home. And they kicked the door down. She act like, you know, just in case you know, cops are called, she could act like, hey, listen, I called them, but it's bullshit. I was home. She called me but hung up the phone right away. And all of a sudden the door is like off the hinges, and I see her brother, no mask. I see her, and I see this guy, some other guy, and the guy's walking around the crib. He grabs a knife and puts it in his back pocket. And I remember coming up, I'm like, oh, this is how you gonna do me? I was like, okay. And I just took off on the guy, knocked him out. Not even knock him out, I just knocked him down, beat the shit out of him. His brother tried to come at me, I fucking started whooping his ass. And they leave. I call my boys come back. My boys come to the crib. We take everything out the apartment that has to do with drugs, the condo. Weapons, anything. We took it out, put it in my boy's van. He was a plumber at the time. He had a big ass van. We put everything in there, and they came back. When they came back, they went upstairs and to go grab their shit, and the brother stayed back. I didn't like that motherfucker. And I went up to him. He was like, man, I want no problems. And I was like, man, fuck that. And I just started beating the shit out of this guy. And my boy started jumping in. And I was like, man, go upstairs and fuck the other guy. I'm going to fuck this motherfucker up. I beat the shit out of him so bad he shitted himself. In fact, his tooth was stuck on my knuckle. You can't see it because of the tattoo, but I had his tooth stuck in my finger and it was pushing the bone down. And I remember going to the hospital and them taking it out. It was like, yo, hey, this is going to get infected, whatever. But, we're going to make sure, we handle it. I go upstairs and this fucking guy is screaming from the top of his lungs. And I come through and I start my boy got him in the, I think it's the Cobra Clutch. There's this guy named Iron Sheik in wrestling. And he had his head here, his arms on his leg. And he's fucking yanking back. And I just come in and I just feel like I'm kicking field goals. And I'm kicking this fucking guy's head. Like, man, his face just started fucking marking up and just getting black and blue and just bleeding. My boy finally lets him loose because I guess I'm kicking him too in his hands while he's like holding the guy. The guy tries to run to the room. Tries to lock the door. I end up kicking the door and I'm getting this fucking guy. Man, by the time we were done, the fucking house looked like a murder scene. Cops come, and they're like, what's going on? I'm like, hey, man, listen, just look at my door. I'm not going to kick my own door down. So they were like, you want to press charges? I was like, nah, I'm good. Let her just get her shit out. She gets her stuff out. That was that. I ended up meeting my daughter's mom, the devil she is. And that was just a headache. A fucking headache. Something I knew I should have never got into. And then meeting her, didn't want her, just loved the sex. My cousin ended up talking me into like just hooking up with her, and decided to just say, fuck it, I'll give it a shot. She was a piece of shit, and I should have never gave her a shot. I remember when she would come through by herself, and I would always kick her out. I'm like, hey, don't come here. She had a son, and I'm like, don't come here. It's fucked up that you come here and you're never with your son. You need to fucking be a mother. Oh, but my mom and dad take care of him. And I'm like, fuck that. You're his fucking mother. Go be a mother. Don't come over here without your fucking son next time. So she comes in and, she has her son, and, I get, super attached to the kid. I think he was like 2 at the time. I didn't get along with his dad. Back in the day, I used to hang out with his dad and stuff like that. And he was a piece of shit. I get super attached to the kid, and I end up telling her, hey, you can move in. She moves in. One day, she goes to hang out with her friends, and I was just chilling. I didn't want to do nothing, so I said, yo, hang out. She was going to drop her son off to her parents. I was like, nah, leave him here. She's gone for like an hour. I go to take the kid a bath, and I just leave. I take him a bath, and then when I went to go get him out, I leave him on top of the toilet. I always used to get mad at her for using the towel when it'll be on the floor, and then she'll hang it up. I just hate that shit. I'd rather you just get another towel. So I walk towards the laundry room and I throw the towel in the laundry room, and I get a towel, and I hear a fucking big ass fucking a thud. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I go back. The kid is crying. He hurt himself. I guess when he fell, I had the drawer open, and his penis gets cut. So I see that, when I'm wiping him down, to dry him up and stuff like that, I see blood on his leg. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm looking, and his penis is cut. And I grab like some toilet paper. I wet it up, and then I wrap his penis up, and then I put a pamper. But I guess I cut the circulation. So by the time she got home, because I told her he fell and he was good, you know what I'm saying? She went to go look, and his fucking penis looked like it was a brain. It was fucking huge. It got so swollen, and I was like, yo, it didn't look like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, so we took him to the hospital, and I remember her telling me, don't say it was you, that took him a bath. Just say it was me. So I'm like, yo, just tell him the truth. I don't see you. It was an accident. She's like, no, but I'm his mom. Like, I'm like, yo, just tell the truth. And she's like, nah, like, just listen to me. So I'm like, okay, well, it's your son. We get to the hospital, we tell them what happened. The cops come. So they're like, I guess like the nurse didn't feel, she was, mind you, my daughter's mom was like super high and drunk. So like, they were like, something's going on. Her eyes were red. So like, I guess the nurse was like, oh, something's going on. I think she's crying. And she calls the cops. The cops come, and they were like, pretty much saying that we were abusing the kid. The cop questions us, and he puts us in separate rooms. So he questions her. She's fucking nervous, like fucking super nervous. Lies about the address instead of telling that she lives with me. Ends up like with a bogus ass story. And then the cop comes to me, and and I just tell him everything, and then like, but just don't, I don't tell him that I was the one that was taking the kid a bath. So the kid was like interacting with us, with his mom, and then he was like interacting with me, and he was good. But every time like somebody else would come, he would get scared because he didn't know who these people were. But he was like super close to us. So the cop was like, hey, listen, I feel comfortable with the kid with you guys, but I'm gonna bring DCF in, child services, because one of you are lying. So I'm like, what do you mean? And so I guess she told the cop that she was living at another address. The cop looked it up, and yeah. And then I told them that she was living with me, and they were living with me, which they were. She made things worse. Child services came and was like, hey, what's going on? We told them, and then, they were like, you do drugs, you drink? And I was like, hey, man, I don't do nothing. You can piss test me right now. I'm good, And then they asked her, and she was just looking at me like, for me to answer. And I'm just like, looking at her like, are you fucking dumb here? Like, you need, this is your son. So they say, here, take this piss test. She pretty much say that she denied that she smoked and drink, and she was like, oh, no, I don't smoke and drink. And it was like, just take the piss test. I looked at her and I'm like, you're an idiot. I just go and tell the fucking guy that you're high right now. You're like, you just made this worse. She told him, and I think the next day or 2 days later, they took the kid away and gave him to the baby's dad. And yeah, and he's had him ever since. So she's like, she was dealing with child services and doing parenting classes and anger management classes, getting everything done, got her own place and stuff like that. I guess the father was fucking the child services lady, and she was just like doing whatever he said, and he had custody, whatever. So I ended up getting her pregnant. And I didn't want a baby with her. I was just like, no, like I don't want a baby with you. So I'm like telling her, get an abortion. She's like, why do you want to get an abortion? I was like, because you're not responsible. I don't want a baby with you. She's like, but please give me a chance. I was just like, nah, I don't want a baby with you. Like, just let's get an abortion. She waited and waited and waited, and it was to the point it was like $1,000 to get an abortion, and I still wanted it, and she didn't want it. And then one day, my sister was like hanging out with her, and my sister felt bad, and I'm like, fuck, she didn't know where I lived. She was stalking me, trying to stalk me, and just trying to find out where I live, but she didn't know where I live. She would go to different places when I would like go make my drugs transactions, and try to figure out where I lived and be driving around a whole fucking complex, but I'm already home and at another spot, you know? And finally, my sister felt so bad for her, and I was just like, man, you want to know where I live? Come to my house. And we went into, the apartment that I was living at. And the next morning, I remember getting something to drink and like just trying to play around with her, pick her up. I didn't know how big her belly was because she always wore t-shirts. And I'm like, I try to pick her up. She's like, yo, chill. And like, I'm like, wait, hold on. Lift up your shirt. And she lifted up her shirt. She had like a little bump. And I was just like, damn. And I think right then and there, I realized what was going on. And I low-key like started falling for the girl. It's so weird how it happened. But yeah, I started, thinking to myself, like, man, I'm gonna give this girl a chance. Wrong fucking decision, I should have just, been there for the baby and just, end up giving her a chance, treating her how she needed to be treated. And, she was my girl. And everything was good. The whole pregnancy, we had the baby. Baby was healthy. But the very next day, child services came, snatched her up, and I didn't have my daughter. My daughter went to a foster home. We got her back for like 4 weeks. I don't know what happened. We went to court, and I guess the grandmother lied about something. It was so stupid because the child services lady was just like fucking with us. Took the baby away again, and she went to a foster home for like 3 months, 4 months. So I didn't get to be with my baby for the first 8 months. We ended up getting my daughter back, but in the process of that, like, I had to do classes. She had to do classes. We completed everything. We had to give her either to my dad, a friend of hers that was like a sister to her, or a co-worker that the mom and my baby's mom worked with. She had a husband. They had a little family. We ended up giving my daughter to her. So that way we could take her out of foster home. And it was only for a few months. The fucking lady tried to keep my daughter and told us, hey, we're going to keep your daughter. And I'm like, the fuck yeah, I ain't. Like, I'm fucking getting my daughter back. She would fucking make up so many lies, and it was just crazy. I didn't understand that, but we ended up getting my daughter. I remember the lady saying, "You need to come get your kid." When she found out that we were gonna get my daughter back, so she was like, "You need to come get your kid. You need to figure it out. I don't want to hear no more." Like, you go from wanting to keep her to now you're like kicking 8-month-old baby out like it's a fucking grown ass man or grown ass girl. You know what I mean? Like, it was just weird. So we get the baby. Everything's good. I want to say Christmas Eve. My daughter's mom and I get in a big fight. Cause she's like a party animal, and I'm just the type of person that like once we have something going on, we have to finish. So we got my daughter. And we had her son left. So I was like, hey, let's stay focused. She was like, no, I think we need a break. I'm like, fuck a break. Like, let's continue to fight for your son now. We got the baby. Let's fucking continue to get your son. So we got in a big fight. She pissed me off. This is the time that I was taking steroids because I was selling drugs. I was selling weed and coke, and then I was selling steroids, and I started taking steroids, and I fucking went crazy on her. I remember grabbing her by the hair and then picking her up by the hair, and her feet are just dangling, and I just realized, I'm like, holy shit, what am I doing? I let her go. I felt so bad. She ended up getting, we were always back and forth. And then we just ended up being in a toxic relationship. I remember we got an apartment, and we had a roommate, and the girl was just ended up being crazy. Her name was Nicole. She ended up being crazy. We ended up leaving one day. Nicole went to work and we just left. We're like, man, fuck that. We went to my daughter's mom's parents' house, and we stayed there for a few months. But I came to realize like my daughter's mom started acting up because we was at her parents' house, and I ended up leaving. And just moving in with my dad. And I remember, like, while I was there, my daughter's mom used to change my daughter's diaper. And sometimes just leave it on the floor and won't even put it in the trash. And sometimes we'll just, like, step on the diaper. Fucking piss would come out, shit would come out. And I remember one day her dad got mad and like fucking cursed her out because he had an expensive carpet and shit just came out the pamper. Like he stepped on it, so all the shit just came out. And it got on the carpet and he got so mad at her, we even wanted to kick her out. And I calmed him down. We were cool. And I was like, hey, I'm sorry, man. Whatever you need, to pay it, I'll pay for it, to get it removed and stuff. So, we were straight. I ended up moved to my dad's house. So she ended up coming one day to my dad's house and did the fucking same thing. And I fucking stepped on it and fucking shit went everywhere. And I was just so mad. And we got in an argument. And I ended up telling her to leave and stuff like that. She was just talking so much shit. I grabbed the phone and smashed it. She called the cops. I went nothing. I went to go for a jog, and I'm walking. I'm like fixing my MP3 at the time, iPod, whatever, yeah, something like that. And I look up and I fucking see a cop, and then I see her actually in front of the cop and the cop behind her, and I'm like, oh shit, she's getting pulled over. She gets out the car, she's talking shit. I told you not to fuck with me, motherfucker. And she's like, that's my baby daddy. He fucking sells drugs. Go to his house. He lives down the block. Take you to his house, and we'll search the house, and I'll tell you where the drugs are. And I'm like, holy shit, is this fucking girl serious? So, I fucking book it. I start running. I went through this this trail. I ran, I climbed again, I went through this trail. I lost them, and I ended up running back and then running to my house, taking a chance. The cops wasn't there yet. I ended up going inside. At this point, the cops pull up to the house. I get the drugs. My dad's like, what the hell's going on? I was like, yo, just handle this. Like, I'm taking everything out. So I took everything out in a garbage bag. I run out through the backyard, climbed the gate, end up running, and taking another chance because I don't know how to explain it, but like I ended up running and going through the backyard and climbing the gate and then running and then taking a chance. I see cops cars coming and I just hid. Then I looked again. When I looked again, there was no cops, and I ended up running, crossing the street and climbing the gate that I went through the first place and ran the opposite way. I called my boy. My boy picked me up. Cops were looking for me, and it was Christmas Eve, I believe. I think my daughter was 1 at the time. Yeah, it's her first Christmas with me, and the cop was like, "Hey." He called my dad and he was like, hey, listen, man, I'll tell you what, it's Christmas Eve. I don't want your son to go to jail. Just tell him to come in. Just I'll give him a court date and we'll handle this in court. Like, I don't want to lock him up. So my dad talks me into coming back. I come back, give me a court date. I go to court, pay $50. That's it. My stupid ass ended up getting back with my daughter's mom. I remember us just going back and forth, breaking up, and there was these 2 girls from Miami. 3 girls, but it was 2 girls in particular that, she didn't like, and these girls had they shit together. They lived in Tampa, but, they had a condo in Miami. So she specifically told me not to hang out with these girls. She was just a hater. She didn't want me to hang out with these girls because these girls were popping. And I ended up going to Miami, hanging out with the fucking girls. This is when Snapchat first came out. I think Instagram was out already. And I was still into, like, Facebook. and then just started to get back into started to get into Instagram. It's like 2013, and Snapchat came out, and I remember the girls taking a video of us hanging out, and we were smoking, and they were taking a video, and I'm in the middle of the bed, and the girls just taking a video, and the other girls here. We're in the bed, we're fucking pretty much naked, and my daughter's mom saw it and ends up snitching on me, and going to my probation officer and telling the probation officer, hey, listen, this fucking guy's selling drugs still. Yeah, he's playing you. So they put a warrant out for my arrest. They fucking believed the girl and put the warrant out on my arrest. Yeah. They put a warrant out on my arrest, and then she tells me this, and I'm just like, why the fuck did you do this? And then she's just talking shit one day, and I just fucking went crazy. And she's like, where you at? If you come over here, she was setting me up. She had a cop like around the corner, and I went berserk. I went over there. I hate that I'm about to say this, but I fucking whooped her ass. And the cop just so happened to pull up, and I book it. They don't catch me. I'm on the run. I had 3 weeks left of probation. I had 2 years probation. I had 3 weeks left. I was gonna get off early termination. Fucking run and get away for like 2 weeks. I'm on the run. I end up getting on Facebook, and I'm talking to this girl that I haven't seen in a while. And she said, hey, let's hang out. So I'm like, okay. But my daughter's mom had gave him my fake, I had another name for Facebook. I had my regular, and I had I had my Joey Fontanez, and I had another one. I forgot what was the name. And she gives him that page, and they tracked me down like that. So I told the girl I was going to meet her like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. The cops fucking get there undercover. I get out, I see the girl coming, went to go, walk the girl to the car, but I didn't even get a chance to get there. I get out the car, a fucking cop grabs me, I fucking hit him, and I end up fighting this guy, and I knock him out. I knocked him out. Then the other guy came, we're fighting. I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck? I'm thinking I'm getting robbed. I'm thinking the girl's setting me up. But she's just watching. She's not knowing what's going on. And I'm fighting this fucking cop. I knock him down. I get in the car, because I had drugs on me. I had coke and weed on me. I get in the car, and I'm fucking trying to get away. I see this cop with a fucking chihuahua. It's fucking crazy. And he just pulls out. Well, while I was fighting the cops, they end up saying, hey, sheriff department, whatever. And I'm just like, oh shit, I'm too late now, So I get in the car, and I'm driving away. I see this guy walking a chihuahua, and he just pulls out a gun. I'm like, what the fuck? And the fucking chihuahua just, runs away somewhere, and the cop is like, oh, sheriff. I try to fucking run the guy over. He jumps out the way. I'm surprised I didn't get shot. I'm driving. I get away. I see a cop car coming, and I act like I was just a regular civilian driving slow, and then I guess they told him what kind of car I was driving, so he puts the lights on. I fucking haul ass. I would have got away. I hit a fucking bump, and the car flipped 3 times. I get out the car. I don't even got a scratch on me. I get out the car. The car's on the side. It's on the passenger side. It's just fucking laying up, and I just push the car, the door open, the driver door open. I come out, and I'm fucking running. There's so many fucking cops just screaming, sheriff department, stop right there. I'm running in the middle of the street on Sheldon Road, and if you're from Tampa, you know where Sheldon Road's at. I'm running in between the cars. They're fucking trying to tase me. I get away. All of a sudden, there's this fucking truck. I'm thinking it's an undercover car, and it's a fucking guy, a landscaping guy, trying to help the cops. He runs after me. I'm already tired from fucking running. I ran so much, and he grabs me. He starts punching me. So I'm like, man, fuck this. I'm all in, I fucking punched the guy, And he like feels it. I was like, next time I'm gonna knock you the fuck out. I'm running. He grabs me again. He hits me again. I fucking hit him one time. I run again, and he grabs me. He tries to hit me, but when he sees that I'm about to cock back in, he's like, hey, man, let them do their job. I was like, yeah, let them do their job. Get the fuck out of here, man. You know what I'm saying? What's your problem? And, I end up running. I'm fucking so tired, and this guy's chasing me. And I hit a gate. He breaks the gate down. It's like a wooden fence, actually. I hit a wooden fence. He breaks the wooden fence down. This lady's like coming out with her cat or her dog. I don't know what the fuck it was. It was an old lady, and he's like, "Ma'am, go inside the house. Call the cops." So I'm running. I hop a wall. When I hop the wall, there's fucking police everywhere. I'm like, oh shit, I'm fucking caught. So I fucking get down on the floor. I'm like, hey, listen, I see a dog. You let that motherfucker loose, I'm fucking getting back on this wall, and I'm gonna make you do your job. So they come through. They was like, yo, just stay right there. I'm on the floor, and they fucking lock me up. In the back seat of the car. So funny. I remember the night before, I was like, praying. I was just like, God, man, whatever you got me going through, help me out. Make sure I get through this. Just don't let me go to jail. Next day, I'm in the back of the fucking cop car, and I'm like, just with my hands behind my back, and I'm just like, damn, I can't believe I'm going through this. And I was like, damn, God, didn't I tell you I didn't want to get locked up? So funny. So, I go to jail. I'm thinking it's a slap on the wrist. In New York, you get like a year, like 14 months in jail. But out here, you get 5 to 10 years for fighting the police. So I'm like, fuck, man, let me get through this shit, it's another fucking, another fucking journey getting locked up. I'm like, it's whatever. I call my dad, and my dad's like, what the fuck is wrong with you, man? I fucking read the discovery, and it sounds like I'm reading a fucking a book, an action book. Like, are you trying to fucking audition for a movie or something? So, I'm like, nah. He's like, man, you know what you're facing right now? I'm like, no. Like, what is it, like a year or something like that? Like, no, you fucking idiot. You're facing life. Like, what? How the fuck? Like, he's like, yeah, you fucking fought cops and you try to run one over with your car. Like, what were you thinking, bro? Like, are you fucking serious? And I was like, well, I didn't hit him. He's like, yeah, I don't give a fuck. Like, bro, like, wake up. Like, you're facing a life sentence. I'm like, holy shit. So now I'm fucking scared. Man, so I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I call my daughter's mom, and she's crying, and she's like, man, I'm so sorry. I should have just never fucking did what I did. And I'm like, yeah, man. She's like, I'm going to be here for you. I'm like, okay. And she wasn't. So, I think I had a place that I was going to go. I don't think I was living at for a week, though. A buddy of mine I used to sell weed to, was super cool, real good friend of mine named Dave. He was letting me stay at his house. That way I could, have a place to stay. I was planning on being on the run for a long time. And I had a pea coat, I remember, and I had 2 pockets. And I had all my money in that pocket. And then I had like a female that I was fucking with, and I had money in her place and stuff like that. So in the P code, I had like $38,000. And I ended up telling my baby mom, like, hey, I got this, P code. You need to go to this address and, go pick up this money right here. So she ended up going and fucking just taking the money. I told her to pick up all my shit, and she just took the money, ran off with it, spent all the money, $38,000. Spent all of it in like, fuck, I want to say like a few weeks. It was crazy. She just went splurging. Man, it was wild. They sentenced me to 5 years in state prison. And I was like, fuck, man. I was like, yo, first chance I get, I'm escaping. I didn't escape, though. I ended up doing my 5 years. But it was 5 years of hell, man. I tell you this, I needed it. It woke me up. It made me a man. But while I was in there, you got to survive. And I was selling drugs. I was selling cigarettes. Just you gotta hustle in there. You gotta survive. First year and a half, I was struggling. I didn't want to do nothing. You know, I was working in the kitchen and just trying to stay out of stay out of the way and just take food and sell food here and there. My cousin was a correction officer. It was so crazy. Last time I saw him, his fucking wife was trying to fuck me, and I was just like, nah. And I ended up telling him, he didn't believe me, and he ended up getting married with a fucking bro, having 2 kids, and he had a fucking grudge and whatever. But we ended up being cool and stuff like that, and I'm calling him an idiot for marrying the fucking girl, and yeah, it was cool, kicking it with him. That was in Orlando. Then they transferred me to Taylor CI, and Taylor was fucking wild. My first 5 minutes there, and I had to do the intake thing, whatever. And then when I went into the dorm that I was gonna be staying at, 5 minutes. That's it. Somebody's getting cut up. I'm like, holy shit. I'm just like, damn, this is where I'm gonna stay. And I'm like, fuck, man. So I ended up trying to, talk to the officer in the bubble, and I was like, man, can you take me back? They're like, yeah, it don't work like that, bro. You're here. Like, you sure, man? Can you do something? Like, nah, you're here, man. So I ended up staying. I wanted to get the hell out of there every day. I think for the next 2 months, I was like, I want to get out. I want to get out of here. Eventually, I got in the hang of things, and it was like, all right, I'm cool. A couple months later, I want to say 5, 6, 7 months later, they ended up transferring me back to Orlando, and I was like, I don't want to go. I wanted to stay. It was fucking crazy at Taylor, but I was cool. Sent me back to Orlando. Remember working outside grounds, so they assign you a job, and working outside, and I hated it because I don't like to work. I'm fucking lazy. I hate fucking working. I didn't want to do shit, especially for these fucking people that they just slave you around, fucking assholes. So I ended up going to the hole on purpose. Me and this fucking guy, myself, made in the hole. His name was Tony. He was fucking crazy Puerto Rican dude. He just did, I think, 10 years. He ended up doing 8, with good behavior. And he was only out for 15 months. Ended up coming back. He got 15 years now. So I was in the hole with him. The fucking guy was so funny. I remember, I want to say I was 2 weeks in the hole with him, and he was using a fish line to get some K2. It's fake weed, and it was fucking crazy. And I remember he got some weed with it too, so it was my first time smoking weed in the hole. So he was smoking the other stuff and smoking weed too. Fucking guy starts hearing things and gets up and starts going towards the window, and he's like, yo, what the fuck is going on? Do you hear that? And I'm just like, no. He's like, you don't fucking hear that. Everybody called me New York. He's like, New York, but he's saying it in Spanish. He's like, New York, you don't fucking hear that? He's like, listen, shh. And I'm like, bro, you're tripping. And he's like, nah. So he gets his shirt, and he starts spinning the shirt around. We had a little window with it was crazy. He starts spinning the fucking shirt around, and to let the fucking smoke go outside. And I'm fucking dying laughing. And he's like, bro, what the fuck you laughing? Help me. And I'm like, what do you want me to do, bro? You fucking doing everything. He's like, bro, grab the soap and wash your hands and put it on the wall. I'm fucking dying. I'm like, all right, I helped him out. I'm just dying laughing. He's like, it's not fucking funny, bro. So this motherfucker, he's like, yo, look outside. Don't face me. Just look outside. And I'm like, what's going on? He's like, man, I'm about to put the shit up. And I'm like, bro, you're tripping. You're good. He's like, man, fuck that. So I look outside for literally 3, 4, 5 seconds. And he's like, all right, yeah, I'm good. And I look back, and I'm like, I just started laughing. And he's like, what the fuck are you laughing at now? And I'm like, bro, you're a fucking monster. And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm like, bro, I look away for a couple seconds and you already got this thing up your ass. And man, we just started dying laughing. He's like, man, fuck you, bro. You're making this shit worse. And I'm just dying laughing. We end up getting out the hole. I get out first and then he gets out. And then I'm on the compound. Start working in the kitchen. Everything was cool, you know. The whole time I'm like, fuck, I just want to be big. I just want to be big. I start, I'm working out. I get with some guys. They teach me how to work out. I already knew how to work out, but they taught me more. And, so we'll start writing these workouts down, because in prison, you meet people all the time. And 1 minute they're there, 1 minute they're gone. They can get transferred or they're just going to go home. They can go to work release, So everything I learned, just, write it down in my little book. I remember getting transferred to Polk County, a little closer to home, especially for my dad to come visit and stuff like that. So I ended up going out there. Everything was cool. My dad would come visit. It was way closer than Orlando. I remember getting with some guys, and they started teaching me more about fitness, teaching me more workouts and stuff like that, and just writing it down. And they end up leaving, and I just be working out all the time, doing some crazy shit, and I will always have people wanting to work out with me, I'll have like 16 fucking inmates, sometimes 20. They were thinking that it was like a fucking gang fight or something like that. I mean, a gang, thing going on. But, people that knew me, they knew I was like, like the COs that knew me, they knew I was like, I wasn't into that shit. So they would break it up or whatever. But like everybody would just want to fuck with me. And everybody would always tell me like, yo, Joe, like, why don't you do, personal training? And I was just like, nah, fuck that. I want to sell drugs. I'm going back to selling drugs. So I get into selling drugs in prison after that, and I'm fucking doing my thing, and man, I was balling. I was fucking doing my thing in prison. I felt like somebody, because I wasn't doing nothing. Then problems start happening, people trying to rob me, and I wouldn't take that. Like I would just tell them, you can't fuck me up. You might as well get up out of here. Some people would come at me with knives and stuff like that, and I was so crazy, I would fucking fight them. And, they would run out the cell, they'd be like, you're fucking crazy. I remember one time, this is in Orlando, I left this part out, and I think this is one of the reasons why I got transferred to Polk. But, it was wild. But I remember one time in Orlando, I was, this is before, like I said, I was selling drugs or whatever. And I remember trying to use a phone. This guy had a phone, and he would always let this black guy use the phone because the black guy always fucking pay him. But at this point, the guy wouldn't fucking pay him. He was like, oh, just put it on my tab. So he ends up getting tired of like doing the tab thing and was like, bro, you need to pay, or not, you're not using the phone. So I always asked to use the phone. I was patient. Finally, he lets me use the phone. I'm talking to my daughter's mom, and I'm about to talk to my daughter for the first time. I think she was like 3. I think this is 2015. Yeah. And I just heard something. I turned back and this fucking guy hits me. The black guy that always wanted to use the phone. And we start fighting. I start whooping his ass. I'm beating the shit out this dude in the fucking cell. 2-man cell. And I don't know what the fuck happened and what told me to turn around, but something told me to turn around. His homeboy's coming in with a knife. He's literally about to stab me. I grab his arm and I fucking start hitting him. This guy's hitting me and I'm hitting both of them. And I grab this guy's arm. His homeboy's hitting me. This guy's hitting me too. And I'm just like banging his arm on a wall, on a brick wall. He drops the knife. We all start scrambling for the knife. I get the knife. And I stabbed the guy that came in the first time, stabbed him 7 times. And, they end up running out the cell. This guy's fucking in the fucking bubble, like we went downstairs trying to get the attention of the officers in the bubble. Everything's so segregated. My fucking Latinos come through and they start cleaning everything up. We flush everything down the toilet. Everything was straight. Somebody said something, but they didn't know what was going on. We ended up going to the hole. Just everybody that was in that cell, not everybody, but like certain people go to the hole. I did 99 days in the hole. That shit sucked. It sucked bad, like really fucking bad. I ended up getting out. I was good. And maybe like a couple months later, I got transferred and I went to Polk. But yeah, so selling drugs in Polk, getting into trouble. I would go to the hole so many times for fighting. I would come out, sell drugs, still be the man. I had a nice little crew. I ended up talking to this guy. He was from New York. He was a CO at first. He ended up becoming a maintenance man. And one of my homeboys was working in his crew because he used to work, for the CO. CO get to wear the regular clothes now, but he's still a CO. So they're working for him and they're just fixing shit around the compound. And the CO's bringing drugs for him. So my boy's about to leave and he hooks me up with the CO. His name was Diaz. And I end up, giving him we end up talking about what I wanted to bring in. He said he could bring it. He told me what he wanted. And once a week, he'll just bring everything in. He'll bring phones. He'll bring, K2. He'll bring Molly. He'll bring heroin. He'll bring weed, cigarettes. I mean, the whole 9. And we were fucking living. I had this girl that I used to mess with. And she was holding me down because my baby mom fucking ended up leaving. Piece of shit. And I would give her everything. I would call her, be like, hey, go to Amscot. This girl's in the Western Union, needs money, go pick it up. And, that's how I was making money. And she ended up getting pregnant with her boyfriend because she was with this guy, and I already knew, she was with it. I was just fucking her, and she ended up getting pregnant and coming to the visitation to tell me when she was like a couple weeks pregnant. And I was like, yo, just be with the guy. She was like, no, I want to be with you. I don't even want to be with him. I'm going to have this baby. I was like, yo, that's your man. Be with him. She started getting bigger, kept coming, and kept, doing she kept giving the drugs to the officer. Officer would bring in, my crew would come through, we'll take it back to the cell, run our little operation. And she'll keep coming to visit. She was getting bigger and bigger. And she was like, I just want to be with you. I want to be with you. We have like a year and a half left or 2 years left, something like that. I want to be with you. I was like, nah, it's not happening. So then she would just tell me like, yo, most guys in your position would do it. Like, what's the fucking stopping you? Like, we're making money. We're doing good. Like, and I'm just like, I don't trust you. What makes you think that you're not going to do the same thing to me that you're doing to your man right now? It's fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, so, she came back one more time and told me, you're not going to be with me. I'm done. And I was like, okay, go ahead. And she ended up moving to Miami. She took all my money. We had like at least, I want to say like $75,000 or maybe more than that. You know what I mean? I was paying her bills. She was good. And I was in prison. She ended up going to Miami. I never heard from her again. and then I was selling drugs, and then, and sending it to my daughter's mom. Well, to the grandmother, because I would never put no money in my daughter's mom's hands, because she's not good with money. She'll spend it on herself. So I would just tell the grandmother, hey, listen, go pick up this money. I'm sending you this. Then I just stopped, because I think I had like 2 years left, and I didn't want to get in trouble no more. 18 months left, something like that. I just stopped. Then I ended up going to a halfway house. I ended up going to a halfway house. I think it was like my last 14, 13 months, something like that. And I think when I got to like 10 months, I saw my daughter for the first time. And then when I got to a halfway house, I was like selling, cigarettes and weed and K2. I had a pillowcase. I had a pillow full of the drugs in there. And I remember seeing my daughter for the first time, and she was so pretty. I fell in love with her first sight. It's just, she looked so pretty. And it was at that moment I was like, yo, I'm done. When I got back to where they kept us, I took the pillowcase. I made a major announcement. Yo, whoever want to come get this, get it right now. And people just started looking, and they fucking went crazy like roaches and grabbed everything, because there was so much cigarettes, K2, weed, and it was like, yo, what the fuck is going on? I was like, man, I'm done. So my buddy, Judge, his name is Judge, Rashad Judge. He was like, man, there's just people that come through and they be trying to help people with courses and, trying to give them like, careers and stuff like that, like a plumber, electricity, whatever you wanted to do. So I was like, I don't want to do this shit. He's like, man, just go and see if you could do personal training. So I was like, you know what, that's a good idea. So I go and I talk to them, and they were like, nah, we don't do that. So I begged them. I was like, please, man, I don't want none of this stuff that y'all got going on right now. I want to do personal training. All my friends always told me to do personal training, and me being ignorant, I always used to tell them I'm going back to selling drugs. So they go back, they ask, they come back, and they're like, yeah, you're good. We're going to do it. The girl that was trying to help me out, she ended up liking me and stuff like that. And, she made it her business to make sure, like, I get it done. You know what I mean? I ended up kicking it to her, and I was supposed to hook up with her and stuff like that, but I never did. Ended up getting out, ended up, like, working at Zaxby's, getting some money and stuff like that. When you're at the halfway house, they fuck you over. You work for so many hours. You're supposed to get out with like so much money, but they end up fucking you over. And I was just like, I don't care. I'm gonna get out. I'm gonna fucking be something. So I end up getting out. My homies end up picking me up. One of my buddies that I was locked up with ended up getting married. I was his best man. He said, I'm not getting married until you get out. I got out in July. He got married in August, and it was amazing, man. He showed me a good time. He had so much money from when we was in prison. He made millions. He was locked up for like 14 years. He made millions of dollars in prison. It's fucking crazy. But man, it was amazing. He wanted me to get into the drug game, and I told him no. The whole crew that we had all got in the drug game, and I was just like, nah, I'm gonna do things the right way. I'm gonna do the personal training. I would go through it because Ali came out of fucking the halfway house for like, I want to say $1,900. That shit went by like this, especially when my daughter's mom found out that I got out. I made sure I took care of my daughter. I wanted to see her, I wanted to be with her, and yeah, I just kept doing the personal training. I had a buddy of mine that worked for Nike in Portland, Oregon, and he was like, hey man, you got what it takes. I know you. Come out here to Portland, you got a job for Nike. And I turned it down 3 fucking times. I just didn't want to get out and, be out for a little bit and hang out with my daughter, and then just take off again. Just like I thought I was gonna be selfish, so I didn't do it. I got out 2018. It was tough the first 6 months. It was real tough. It was days I didn't go. I didn't eat anything. It was tough. I was still eating prison food. I would go to fucking Walmart or anywhere, just eat prison food. I have my boys. Yeah, they'll shoot me some money, and I'll eat good with them. I'll hang out with them. I eat good with them, but I didn't want to be around that lifestyle no more. I wanted to do things the right way, and it was tempting. But I didn't do it. I just try to keep my nose clean. Worked at Crunch, worked at LA Fitness, and then I went to a gym called Cultist Gym. I remember my boy Mark, when I was in the halfway house, told me to come by, and he wanted me to be a trainer, and I was like, okay, well, when I get out, we'll make it happen. He was a man of his word. He got me in there. Talked to the owner of the gym, Treon Coulter. I'm blessed, man. That's all I gotta say. If it wasn't for those two, if it wasn't for Treon giving me a chance, I wouldn't be where I'm at. Started slow, training, and becoming successful. The more the months came by, the more people wanted to start training with me and stuff like that. I started learning social media. And it started getting better and better and better, and just started killing the fitness world. And I remember one of my buddies saying, man, you're killing this fitness world like you was killing these streets. And I was like, damn, you know what? You're right, And I was fucking doing my thing, man. And then I started doing these boot camps, and I was doing them for free. And I would get so many people to come by and just support me, man. It was an amazing feeling. Then COVID happened. Fuck. And they shut the gyms down. And I was like, fuck, how am I going to make money? But I was smart with it. I will always buy equipment. If I see a deal, I'll just buy equipment before COVID. And, take it to the gym. Once they told me that the gym was going to close down, I took all my equipment, took it to my house. Then COVID happened, shut the gym, shut all gyms down. We started training outside. For me, it was natural. It was good because I did my 5 years in prison. We was always in the yard working out, but this time I had a little equipment, weights here and there, and I started doing boot camps during quarantine time. And at first it started off slow, but then the more people started, hearing about this boot camp, and it's free, and it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and Saturday, they started coming by, and they the more they liked it, the more they started telling other people, and more people started coming. So I started off with like 16, and then it was like 25, then it was 30, then it was 35, then it was 40, and then it was 50, and I was on top of the world. I was just, everybody wanted to train with me. Whether it was the boot camp or just doing one-on-one training, I was just driving to people's houses and training them, making fucking bank. And then I think Bay 9 News wanted me to do something with them, but because I had so many people and they was talking about the 6 feet, you got to be 6 feet apart or something like that. The distance, 6 feet distant. They were like, nah, we don't want to do this because then, it goes against the 6 feet, whatever. But she was like, I'm going to keep you in mind. So, I met this fucking super hot girl. I thought she was, popping. And I had another girl that used to come to my boot camp. She was amazing. She worked for the government. She had her shit together. I should have hooked up with her, but I ended up hooking up with this fucking crazy broad. And I want to say like May 26th, I got in a really bad car wreck. And I broke both my legs. It's fucking crazy. I remember driving, and there was a pickup truck in front of me. I'm on the left lane, he's on the middle lane. But we were the only two lanes, and then this semi-truck comes merging into the lane and cuts the pickup truck off. The pickup truck cuts me off. I try to avoid hitting him. I lose control, hit a guardrail. The car flips 15 times. I was conscious through the whole thing. I get out the car. I'm thinking I'm good. I'm like, oh shit, I got a couple scratches. I'm good. I'm bleeding in my head. I'm good. Get out the car. I fucking look at my feet. Both of them are broken. I'm like, holy shit. I get out. I fucking climb up the hill and start waving people down. It's like 6 a.m. and nobody stopped. And there was that many cars on the road, but whoever was on the road kept going. Finally, somebody stopped. 2 cars stopped, and they helped me. They called the cops, and the ambulance came, and yeah, it was crazy. And then I remember, waking up, and they were telling me my foot was bad. My right foot was really bad, and a lot of dirt went in it from the accident. And then I was like climbing up a hill. I was a lot of dirt went into the wound, and it was crazy. It was real dirty from what they told me, and then it started getting infected. They told me to cut my leg off. I was like, man, fuck that. So the girlfriend that I had at the time, I ended up going home. She was there. I came home on a Tuesday. On a Friday, she was gone. Within the next week, I ended up finding out she hooked up with my boy. At least I thought he was my boy. And, that was that. I stayed home. I wanted to fucking, I was done. I wanted to die. I was like, yeah, this is it. I don't even want to be here no more. I was mentally fucked. I was so depressed. I was just like, yeah. I had friends trying to help me, and I was just like, just depressed. Because she left me when I needed her the most, and she shitted on me, man. It was bad. My ex-girlfriend that I had ended up coming by one day. She felt so bad. She took me in. She helped me out. Her name was Trish. I thank God that girl was in my life because she helped me. Her and her kids. She had 2 kids, Gianna and Rob. They connected so well with my daughter, and they helped me. They helped me, got me back on my feet. She was just a fucking nut. She was amazing though, but I'm grateful to have her. I'm grateful I had her in my life around that time. It didn't work out, but I'm always thankful and grateful to have her in my life because she helped me big time. I was staying at her house because I couldn't afford to pay for the house I had, and my buddy Caesar is a real close friend of mine. He had an efficiency little studio, and I'm staying there, getting on my feet. At that point I was walking with crutches, and I ended up getting back into the fitness and just training people. So my name was powerful when it came to fitness. So everybody wanted to train with me once they heard that I was back, and I was doing great. And little by little, I started, training and getting myself strong again. And it was hard, and everybody kept saying, hey man, you're done. And I was just like, no, I'm not. I got the surgery. No, actually, I already had the surgery. Trish was taking care of me. But I got back into the fitness and just started taking off again. Like I said, I got stronger and stronger and stronger, and started walking and started setting all these goals. And man, it was tough, but I did it. And here I am. I'm back on top of the throne, man. Killing the fitness world. I'm running again when the doctors told me that I wasn't gonna run. I'm doing burpees when they say, yeah, you'll do burpees, but it was full of shit. I'm doing everything I want. Every goal that I set when it came to fitness, I'm doing everything. And I'm feeling like myself again. I have a beautiful daughter that I'm taking care of. I have a gorgeous girlfriend that she's amazing. She can be a pain in the ass sometimes, but she's amazing. I'm living life, man. I got my first house about a couple weeks ago, and I'm doing great, man. I could have went back into selling drugs because my friends wanted me to, and I didn't. I stuck to the fitness. I stuck to the fitness. And I got in an accident. I overcame everything. Every negative thought I had in my head, I overcame it. And I'm great. Thank God, I'm great, man. I'm back to myself. So just letting y'all know, man. If I can do it, you could do it. The sky's the limit, man. You just gotta have the right mindset, and you're good. So that's my story. Holla at your boy. If you want to reach me, need some personal training, go to Joey Fever 86 on Instagram. And yeah, that's my story. Thank you.